Good afternoon and welcome to today's Table Talk with Parents. My name is Alicia, Newell, and I have the privilege of serving as the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs here at Wichita State. Today's topic is talking about housing, the move-in process, what that will look like this fall, and the importance of getting involved on campus and how that will help aid in your student success and ultimately help them graduate with a really fun and memorable collegiate career. And so before we get started, we're going to kick off with introductions. Like I said, my name is Alicia Newell, and I serve as the Assistant Vice President. I've been with the university going on 16, maybe 17 years. I stopped counting. I'm a alum from the university, and so I have a lot of Shocker pride. Yay, go Shocks! And beyond that, I'm also a first-generation college student. And so I'm going to throw it over to my friend, Kim Sandlin.
Hey, everybody. Good to see those of you who have joined us before at our previous family table talk. I am the Director of Student Success. I've been at Wichita State in my 23rd year, I think. And so I've been here a long time, proud alumna of the university, also first generation Shocker. And so really here today to help you all make that transition if you're a parent of a brand new student coming to Wichita State this fall, or maybe you started this summer a little early. I want to welcome you and help you in that transition, but really the content experts are here with you today to talk to you about this entire process regarding housing, regarding involvement on campus. And so I'm going to throw it over to Scott, who's going to introduce himself and talk a little about housing today, as well as colleagues Katie and Gabriel from Student Affairs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Scott Jensen. I serve as the Associate Dean of Students here at Wichita State. Just started my 6th year. I just passed up being here for 5 years, which is exciting. Here at Wichita State, I serve as both the Director of Housing and I work with our Student Conduct Office as well. That's just a quick introduction for me. I know we're going to get into more specific stuff. I'm going to throw it over to Katie to introduce herself.
Hi there. My name is Katie Austin, and I've worked here at Wichita State for going on 9 years. I also am a proud graduate of Wichita State. So I've been in housing and residence life in a variety of roles, lived on campus as a student back in the day. So excited to get to chat with you all about what housing looks like and on-campus living here at Wichita State.
And I'm Gabriel Fonseca. I serve as the Assistant Director for Student Involvement. So I work with all of our student organizations on campus, our fraternities and our sororities, our civic engagement areas, as well as serving as the advisor to our Student Government Association. I am the baby of the group. I've been here for about 2.5 years, but it feels like it's been a very long time. And I'm also now a Shocker student, starting my doctoral program this past summer.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And so we're going to start off with Gabriel talking about the importance of getting involved on campus. One of the things that I truly believe in is we talk a lot about in orientation, the importance of students getting involved on campus, and really the next 4 to 5 years, this has to feel like home. And if this does not feel like home for your student, if they're not finding their tribe, if they're not getting acclimated with the university, it's going to be really hard for us to graduate them. And so part of that process is making them feel like, hey, where do I go to find friends? And where can I go and feed my soul outside of the classroom? And so, Gabriel, if you want to talk to us a little bit about student involvement and opportunities for students to get involved with your area.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Alicia. Like Alicia mentioned, a big part of the collegiate experience and my hope for our students as they arrive on campus is finding their home, finding their place on campus, the thing that makes them happy and excited to be here as well. So I kind of want to go over just a brief overview of our student involvement office. There are lots of things to do on campus, and my office is not the only one that is responsible for those, but we kind of manage various different kinds of areas. So I'm going to go briefly over our student involvement, the different areas we have in our office, and ways that your students can get involved on campus through a variety of opportunities. Student involvement was founded in 2012 between a merger of our activities office as well as our Center for Student Leadership, which kind of oversaw all of our student organizations and merged those two together. Since then, it's grown into this large office that oversees a variety of different areas, including our Cadman Art Gallery, which provides an opportunity for student artists or just students who are interested in art to learn about what it's like to showcase their work. We have an art gallery within our student center on the first floor that provides our students the opportunities to learn how to curate a show, put up a show, market a show, advertise a show, and really give them that process and that opportunity to showcase their artwork. On campus, we also have several different campus traditions from our Shocktoberfest program, which is in the fall, which culminates around a lip sync competition, and then our Hippodrome program. Both of those programs have existed for many, many years. Hippodrome is our live skit competition between our student organization. Really good active ways to build in those memories for our students as well. If your student is interested in service opportunities or giving back to the community, we have a program called the Community Service Board, which provides our students the opportunities to give back to the community. We work with several different community agencies through United Way, which pairs our students with a variety of different service projects, from hunger and homelessness to poverty initiatives to various different kinds of things, so really connecting them to the greater community outside of campus. We also offer an alternative breaks program. So during the times that we would have breaks, so whether that be fall break, spring break, winter break, and summer break, we offer different travel immersive experiences for our students to connect experiences they probably never had before with traveling and also with service initiatives as well. On our campus, we're home to 24 different fraternities and sororities across 3 different councils, so culturally based organization to our historically Black organizations and our traditional organizations as well. So there's lots of opportunities for our students to get involved if they're interested in joining a fraternity and sorority. A lot of the process, because of where we are right now with COVID-19, of joining the organizations has changed a little bit. And so I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any about how to go through the process of recruitment for our organizations. We also have our leadership programs, which kind of focus on 6 different areas. Our tier programs, which provide students kind of an immersive hands-on leadership experience, kind of meeting them where they are. So programs for first-year students, programs for sophomore, junior students, and then programs for senior students as well. We also have 2 leadership institutes, one that's hosted over the summer, and then one that's hosted over winter break. They're week-long leadership immersive experiences that really provide our students the opportunity to kind of practice and hone their leadership skills and styles. We also offer our Student Activities Council, which is the largest programming organization on campus. They host about 100 different events for students, from comedians to live entertainment to our drag show to our trunk or treat events. So several different kinds of events that the students get to plan themselves and really look at what are the things that their peers enjoy, and then really provide them the opportunity to learn how to market an event, plan an event, execute an event, and then provide kind of the experience to the students as well. And all of that also includes our over 300 different student organizations that we have on campus. There is literally a student organization for everything. If your child or your shocker likes video games, we have a student organization for video games. If your shocker likes board games, we have a student organization for that. Various different things, from social organizations to service-based organizations to political organizations to religious organizations, and of course even our academic-based organizations as well. So there's several things to do, and to kind of learn more, you can visit our website at wichita.edu/involvement and list all the different opportunities there and connects them to the different resources and contact information for a variety of different student organizations as well. So I know there are several questions that are coming in, so I'm going to kind of go through those and kind of pick on some highlights, and then we can answer some others towards the end as well. Really, when we talk about the benefits of getting involved, one of the things that we look at that I try to really express a lot when I talk to students, and then kind of like Alicia mentioned as we kind of talk to parents, is this is the thing that kind of fills your time when you're not in class, right? Our students spend time in class, they go to the studying and all these things, but we really want to provide them opportunities to decompress from the stress of class and kind of relax and have different kinds of opportunities and experiences. And so we really want our students to be exposed to a variety of things. We want them to go to class and do the academic work, but we also want to provide them with career readiness skills. And a lot of ways that involvement provides that, as I mentioned earlier, from planning events to managing budgets to having fundraisers, all the different kind of skills that our students get to learn is extremely crucial and important as well. We also want them to build relationship with people, not just with their peers, but other people on campus, from administrators to faculty to staff. A lot of our student organization, all of them, are advised by faculty and staff. So it gives them an opportunity to really make relationships and connections with other people. That's going to be good for when they want to build a resume, ask for recommendation letters, when they want to go to grad school or for jobs. So it really does give them a lot of good opportunities to make those relationships and build those relationships with people. Ultimately, as we kind of look at data and kind of look at trends, right? Ultimately, what we're trying to do is to graduate our students as well. We're trying to get them from freshman year and persist them all the way through to graduation to walk across that stage. And studies show that as you get more involved on campus, you really want to focus on how you build the skill set and fill the skill set in there, and how do we get them to graduate. So studies show us, based off of assessment that we've done, the more you're involved, the more likely you are to graduate within the 4-year time period. We provide them opportunities to travel to conferences and travel to different workshops and to represent the university at variety levels of the institution, and to give them the exposure of doing that. And then ultimately, right, we want them to have fun. We want them to fill the time that they're not in class, not at work, not studying, and build those relationships that are extremely important and extremely a piece of the collegiate experience to ultimately create a more well-rounded Shocker experience. So again, I would encourage, as you have conversations with your student, to encourage them to get involved on campus, to find something on campus that makes them feel like themselves, and find a place on campus in a community that they can build who they are as people, but also to give them the opportunities to not have to think about school, not have to think about the work or anything else, and just have fun and engage with other people like there as well. So joining different student organizations, I know there's a question about how a student can join an organization. If you go to that website, the wichita.edu/involvement, from there, it links you to our student organizations page, and you can see all of the student organizations we have and ways that they'll get involved. We typically would have an event in the fall called Involvement Fair, where we provide our students the opportunity to meet a variety of different student organizations, about 100 plus of them that show up to it. Because of where we are right now, we are kind of reworking that event and how we'll make it a little bit more accessible for health and safety. But I encourage you to encourage your student to attend that event and visit our website and social media so that they can get engaged from there.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's a lot of really great information and resources that's provided by the Office of Student Involvement. This is just one of many opportunities for students to get connected and involved on campus. Wanda asked the question of, will the new YMCA be open for students to use when campus starts? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The YMCA is currently open, so is Campus Recreation, that provides alternative student health sorry, opportunities for students to engage in health and wellness opportunities. And so students will just need to take their Shocker card, go swipe in, and they're able to utilize the resources. And so when they go, there will be mandatory social distancing and cleaning requirements that they'll have to do, and so that will all be given to them at that time. There's a lot of other questions that came in. We're going to put those on pause, and we'll get to those at the end, wanting to make sure we allot time for Scott and housing to share some of the things with their area. So Kim, if you want to go ahead and introduce Scott, and then we'll get back to questions.
Sure. Wanted to also add in a common question I think that we get asked a lot is, how does my student balance time? Aren't they here for academics? And really, academics doesn't stop in the classroom, right? Mm-hmm. So those students are learning concepts, they're learning skills that can transcend the classroom and really bleed into their out-of-class experience. And that is applied learning. That is leadership. Those are the life skills that can go in and out of the classroom. And so it's important that students recognize the potential of what an involvement experience looks like for them and how they can benefit from those experiences. And one of those ways, I'll stop on my soapbox there and throw it over to Scott. One of those ways to immediately connect to the campus community is by living on campus. And so I think we're going to talk a little bit here really quickly about what that process looks like. I know there's a lot of questions about move-in and when I sign up for my time and how many people can go in at a time and all of that. So I'll stop and throw it over to Scott and we'll get started on that topic and be back with you later.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Kim. I'm going to actually just talk a little bit about a brief overview of housing in general. And Katie is very much our logistics person and will give you a lot of information about move-in and what that's going to look like and ways to make sure that goes smoothly for everyone. As we look at housing, I look at two really important pieces in terms of the overall experience. One is the actual building that your student will choose to live in, and the other is our staff that will welcome them and hopefully make a great experience for them while they're here. As most of you know, all of our buildings are either 6 years old or newer. Shocker Hall, which is located right in the middle of campus, is our now oldest building at 6 years old. And it's a great experience. It's where the Shocker Dining Hall is. So students can go right downstairs. We also house the Honors College right in Shocker Hall. And so that's a great opportunity for students involved with that program as well. And then recently we've added both the flats and the suites in the last 3 years that help round out the different types of housing we have on campus. So for our upper division students, the flats are a great apartment opportunity for people who want to be able to cook their own food and do their own thing within an apartment setting, but still have that on-campus experience. And then the suites was just added last year, and it's a little bit of a hybrid of a residence hall and apartment. We have smaller kitchens or kitchenette type experiences in there, but it's still really designed for the first year student. But again, those are the buildings, and I would put that as the less important part of housing. Really what I view as the important part is the staff that I have the opportunity to work with every day that will do everything we can to make the experience for our Shocker students an excellent one. And so from our facility staff that make sure the building is clean and sanitized every day, obviously that's a concern that people are going to have when they come back. And that if there are problems in the building, they respond very quickly. We don't let things sit. So I think they do a great job. We have our operations staff that do a good job behind the scenes to make sure things go smoothly as students want to sign up to live in housing or to do room changes or things like that. But the staff that most of your students will spend a majority of their time with is our residence life staff. So from our student staff, our resident assistants, to our full-time residence life coordinators, they live in the buildings and they're there for the students. And really our job is to get to know the students, to find out what they're interested in. All the great opportunities that both Gabe and Kim have talked about is really to get to know who they are and what they're interested in, make sure that we're connecting them to those opportunities. And so they do a great job. They get a lot of training on all of the resources across campus so that they're aware of what your student is interested in and how to get them connected to those, either their interests or their needs while they're on campus. And so I will not hog any more this time. I'm going to actually throw it over to Katie so she can share things either I missed or things she wants to talk about in terms of the move-in process.
Absolutely. Well, like Scott said, we really feel that we have, a stellar staff in place to help your student be successful, get connected early, figure out some of those logistics of how to get connected with other students or how to get involved. They're upperclassmen students who are really experts. They've been through it. They've lived on campus before. So we really pride ourselves on hiring great student staff who can help bring your student along that first year and make sure that they're really getting everything out of it that they can. So I know I'm supposed to talk a little bit about move-in. So normally move-in is a big fanfare event. Over 2 days, we move in 1,500 students into our halls, and it's a big to-do. Obviously, we had to do some changes this year. We're taking things, scaling back, really making sure that we're meeting some of those health and safety guidelines regarding social distancing and the amount of folks that we have in any given place at a time. So this year, we changed that up. We've limited the amount of students who can move in each day, and we've spread out move-in over a week-long period from August 8th to August 15th. Students are moving into the halls. Your student, if they are already signed up for housing and have a completed contract on file, received an email to their WSU email account about going back into their housing portal and picking an appointment time, which is their arrival time when they will show up at their building and check in and get their things moved in. So we're limiting that to 10 students per building per hour to really spread them out over the building and make sure that everyone has ample space. We're requesting students to wear face coverings as well as their guests that they bring with, and we're requesting that they limit guests as much as possible. If you have a family member or guest who's considered high risk, or may have some health issues, you may want to, have some conversations about whether they should be joining you to do this move-in process. We're, keeping safety at the forefront of everything that we're doing, and want to make sure that our students are taking that personal responsibility for themselves and making good choices as we get moved in. We still think it'll be an exciting few days. It's really great to get students in their rooms when they start meeting roommates and meeting their floor mates. We have floor meetings during that first week where students will get a chance to meet other students who are on the floor. Their RA will either take them to events or do some virtual events with them, depending on our current situation at that point when we hit middle of August. So we've got a lot of great things planned. The process for move-in, again, is going to be a little different in that folks used to go to Coke Arena to check in, and we do a big centralized check-in. Now you're heading straight to your building. And we're sending out specific communication to each building about that. I do want to put a plug in for some programs we have going on this week. If your student is living in the suites tonight at 6 p.m., they've received an email invitation to join a Zoom hangout with other incoming suites residents and with their residence life coordinator and some RAs, chance for them to get to ask some questions and meet some of their future friends. And then tomorrow on Wednesday at 6 p.m., incoming Flats residents have that opportunity. We've already done a few for Shocker Hall, and we may do a few more within the coming weeks if we see a demand for that. So really trying to answer as many questions up front, although we know this is an ever-evolving situation, and we're going to do the best we can to stay up with that. Things that are changing include the states that we're required to have folks quarantine from if they're arriving from out of state to join us here at Wichita State. So we're in communication with those students who are currently on the Kansas Department of Health's website as one that requires a quarantine. We're going to be in communication with our students that are traveling internationally and working through those in a case-by-case scenario. So I do see some questions. I believe we're holding questions for the end on here. Is that right, Alicia?
Yes. And so we have a lot of comments coming in. So we will, I guess, go ahead and jump into some of those. Gabriel, going back, can you talk to us about what recruitment will look like this fall and how that impacts move-in? So kind of a double question for both areas.
Yeah. So just like with everything else, we've had to make some adjustments to our normal recruitment process for our Panhellenic sororities. So typically all of it would be in person, and there'd be this whole show with it. Being here now for about 2.5 years, it's probably now my new favorite thing. So that's super exciting. But because of COVID and because we want to make sure that we're keeping all of our students and all of our potential new members safe, we're moving a majority of it online. So there will be a virtual component to it. There'll be a single day in which we're going to have folks come to campus. and be a part of that. All of the same normal things with move-in will continue to exist. If your student is interested in going through recruitment, they will have registered for recruitment, and one of our staff members who works with our sororities will be contacting each of our individual students to kind of provide them the information they need so that they're prepared for that. But it is going to be a kind of hybrid experience and model, and really making some changes. We're working really hard to make sure that we're still keeping the integrity and the experience alive, while also being cognizant of safety as well. So if your student has registered for recruitment for our Pan-Hellenic sororities, they should be receiving some information about what to expect for that week. For our interfraternity organizations, or men fraternities, the recruitment for that is currently going on right now. If you're interested, you can visit our website again, and we list all of our fraternities on there, and talk about how to get in contact with them. Their process works very differently than our sororities do. So that's also the other side of it. And then for our multicultural Greek organizations, so our culturally based organizations and our historically Black organizations, some of them do a summer process, some of them don't. That's the one council that they do things very, very differently. And so we'll be providing some information about how, if your child is interested in those organizations, how they can kind of reach out for that as well. But I would always encourage you to visit our website, specifically under the Fraternity and Sorority Life page, and it lists everything that we have regarding recruitment across all three of our councils, and who to contact for very specific questions.
Sure. Do you want us to jump in there, Alicia? All right, so I see a couple other questions coming in about more COVID related and about quarantine and those sorts of things, or where can you get the list of states that are required? That's an ever evolving list that the Kansas Department of Health keeps up on their website, which is kdhe.gov, and there's a travel link on there. So you can see that. Currently, I believe it's Arizona, Arkansas, I think South Carolina is on there, and then internationally. So we have just a handful at this time that we have students coming from. Those students will be given the opportunity to move into their space and complete their quarantine on site. If we start seeing other states that we're getting a larger amount of students from popping up on this list, we'll be working with them to determine if we can, set them up somewhere in a hotel. Do they have family in a state that is not on the list that they could stay with prior to that, or friends? So really just trying to problem solve as these things come up. Currently, there's a very small number of states listed, and it's very manageable, and we're working directly with those students. They'll be getting communication from us. So the best that we can advise is to keep an eye on your shockers.wichita.edu email address, because that's where we're doing our communication to reach out as we work through those types of things. Let's see, Scott, did you want to talk about any piece of, if a COVID case comes up, how will students and family be notified? Or what options will the student have to quarantine if they are in the dorms and there's a reported case?
Yeah, I'll tackle a few of those right now. So if a student were to receive information that they tested positive for COVID, we have a protocol in place for how we would isolate that student. And then we work directly with the Kansas, or with our local health department, to find out who they've had close contact with, and we would work to isolate those individuals as well. We're holding off several rooms this year to facilitate that isolation on campus. In terms of notification, being it is an individual health situation, it's up to the student who they notify and how that notification happens. So I just encourage you to stay in contact with your student, or encourage them to let you know if they're having those needs. But we do have a process in place right now to help isolate students should they become positive. Katie, there was a second part to that, I feel like.
Let's see. What options will the student have to quarantine if they're in the dorms and there's a reported case?
Yeah, so I think I hit on that a little bit. We have spaces on both sides of campus held back to be able to put those students in a space where they won't interact with other students. And then we're working with our dining services, Chartwells, to make sure they're getting food during that time as well. So
Sure. Along with that, there's a question about the dining hall and when it will open. It will open on Monday the 8th. So the food options will be open as soon as we're having students in the buildings. They'll be able to utilize their meal plan. And I saw another question about meal plans. And is my student required to have a meal plan even if they have a kitchen? All on-campus students are required to have a meal plan, but that does vary. So the upperclassmen students have a lot more flexibility in what type of plan they pick. It can be a dining dollars only plan, which gives them a lot of flexibility to just eat in some of the retail options in the Radigan Student Center occasionally, or to use those dining dollars to go over to Shocker Dining, the cafeteria, and actually eat in there. So it is required. Each student does have to have that if they are an on-campus resident, but there's a big difference between an unlimited meal plan that our first year students have and the options to Flats residents who we understand do have a kitchen, but oftentimes might find themselves over in the student center during lunch or not be able to run back over. So there is a lot of options and flexibility with that.
Okay, Katie,
I did see a question. I did see a question too of what the difference is between Shocker dollars and a dining plan. I was going to address that really quickly. Shocker dollars are dollars that can be purchased directly from Chartwell's and put on a student's ID card, and they can use those anywhere where Chartwell's does business, and those never expire. And so once they're put on a card, they can be used during their life here at Wichita State. A meal plan is just connected with their on-campus housing experience, and so you'll hear the term Shocker dollars, which again lasts forever, and dining dollars, which are just part of their dining plan for on-campus housing. And so those do expire at the end of the year. And so it's good for them to make sure they're using up their dining dollars before they use any Shocker dollars. Hopefully that answers that question.
Scott, can you talk a little bit about the adjustment in fees, especially with the change in the schedule, in addition to students now not returning after Thanksgiving break, and what that means for their meal plan?
Yes. And I saw also, do they have to move their belongings out over break? So I'll touch on that as well. So what we've done with the adjusted schedule for both fall and spring is reduced everyone's overall fee by 10%. And that's basically equivalent to the days they won't be living on campus. If a student would like to stay past November 20th, which will be sort of our fall move out day, they're welcome to do so. We will just ask them to sign up. There'll be a lot of information that's sent out to them. And then they'll just be charged that additional 10% that they would have been charged originally had they been here the whole semester. So we're not adding a new fee. We're just adding back the 10% that we reduced everyone's fee by. So for fall, that 10% would be added if they stay between November 20th and January 1st. And then for spring, anyone who wants to come back earlier, just stay the entire time. They just let us know. And so from January 1st through February 1st, we would just add on the 10% from their spring bill, if you will, back onto their account that they weren't charged up front for their spring charges. In terms of their meal plan then, for the dining days that they normally would have been given during those meal plans, we're adding $100 of what we're calling bonus dollars. I realize that's the third dollar type that we turn out there, but bonus dollars are basically like dining dollars or Shocker dollars. They can be used anywhere that Chartwell's does business. They just have to be used up within that semester. And so definitely students want to use those first. And so that's a little bit of value added. They can buy things from the Ground House on campus, which is a little bit of a small convenience store. So those are things they can keep in their room. Or as Katie mentioned, they can go to the areas over in the Radigan Student Center or whatnot. For any student who chooses not to stay on campus between November 20th and February 1st, they are absolutely welcome to leave everything in their room. They can just come back at the beginning of spring semester and move right back in, and all their stuff will be there and should be safe and sound.
Right. There was a question that came up regarding security on campus and what does that look like? And so Gabriel, do you want to touch a little bit about in just general overview, and then Scott or Katie, if you want to chime in regards to how that really impacts housing specifically?
Yeah, so I work with our student government on campus, and so it's kind of like a government for our students. And one of the things that we work on, or that they work on very strongly, is student safety, because that's one of the things that we talk about every single year. So a few years ago, on campus, if you've ever been to campus, you'll see the blue lights, which are emergency poles on campus, and you should be able to see one. And we tested this out during our annual safety walk that we do with our student government. If you stand on a corner of campus, or anywhere on campus, and look north, south, east, and west, you should be able to see an emergency blue light on campus. On top of those blue lights, the student government actually a couple years ago gave money to install cameras. So now there are 360 cameras on those blue lights as well. We do have a standalone police department on campus that does provide security for our campus and students. So that's kind of a general oversight with the different things that you can see on campus. They do talk often a lot about an app. I think it's called the Rave app, where if there's something that happens around campus or near campus, they can send out the emergency text messages to the students or emails or whatnot. So that's specifically just kind of overview on it, and specifically with housing. Scott or Katie can kind of touch on that.
Sure, I'd be happy to jump in on that. So we do have, great WSU Police Department officers on campus who are in our buildings doing that community policing, getting to know our residents and the students that are around, 24/7 that live on campus. So we love that. They're wonderful to work with. But we also have things in place like the shocker card that a student is given. That is their access into the building. That is their access into the residential hallways. So past the lobby area, you've got to scan in again. You've got to scan in if you're going to get onto the elevators. And then you have a separate room fob on Shocker Hall that gets you into your door. So there's a lot of things in place. Those lists are updated regularly. If a student moves out, they're taken off that. Their activation, or they're deactivated so that they can't use that anymore. But yeah, just a lot of technology in place to make sure that we know who's coming and going from our buildings and that everyone's feeling safe with that. Our resident assistants that I mentioned earlier, they complete rounds of the building every night where they're kind of checking on things, making sure doors aren't propped and that things are as they should be. And they serve on duty. So 24/7, there is somebody on duty that you can call. The resident assistant on duty phone number is posted throughout each of the buildings that can respond to issues, whether it's emergency maintenance issues, whether it's more of a policy infraction issues. They are around and willing and able to help. But if they do have issues, we have someone, a professional staff member on top of that, who is also on duty. So you've got your pro staff on duty each night that has somebody that the RA can call up to if the issue needs some extra assistance. And then on top of that, we have an assistant director on duty, and that person is there to help the resident life coordinator if they have issues. So just a lot of layers in place to make sure that we've constantly got a good pulse on what's going on in our buildings, that everyone is safe, and that we know, what activities are happening. So that's been a great system, and we find that students feel like they do have a lot of different safety mechanisms in place at all times.
Absolutely. The other thing is I cannot praise our university police department enough for all that they do. They truly, I would put them against anybody. They are some of, I would say, the best of the best. They have established rapport and relationships, not only with our faculty and staff, but students. And they know them by name. They say, hey, officer so-and-so, and it's nice because they're a part of the family. And making sure that students know who they are. And so if there is a concern or a question, they feel safe and comfortable enough to go and talk to university police. As a parent, the other thing I want to just bring to your attention is there's an app that is phenomenal, and it's called Rave Guardian app. And if you download the app, I really encourage your students to download the app. This actually connects directly with the university police department on campus. There's also various university resources in regards to campus safety. You can also go online and sign up for Shocker Alert. And Shocker Alert on online, I believe your students able to sign 5 people up. And with Shocker Alert, if there's any kind of campus emergency, if there's any kind of inclement weather, this is where notifications will be sent out to our students or individuals who are connected with Shocker Alert, letting them know what's going on. I remember a couple years ago, there was a picture on the news, and it was a bunch of emergency vehicles on the east part of our campus. And I had my phone blowing up of parents saying, what's going on, what's happening? And it was a gas leak. And so it looked a lot more, rigorous than what it really was. And so it had students or families been signed up with Shocker Text Alert, they would have gotten the notification that said, stay away from the east side of campus. There's a gas leak, and then when it's cleared, the all clear was sent out to everybody. And so making sure that you and your students have those tech.
Hey, Alicia, I think we lost you there. Your sound.
Are you there? Sorry.
There you go.
So another thing is regarding payment plan. And so actually this is a great segue into our next table talk, where it's coming up, I believe next week or in a couple weeks, where we're talking very specifically about payment plans, as well as, remind me, Kim, parking. Woo.
Payment, parking, and some of the extra social and academic support areas that we just haven't gotten to, that may be of particular interest to certain students. So a lot coming up in the next one as well. So a couple of questions on the Rave Guardian app. I don't know, Alicia, if you know the answer to this one. But Wanda wrote in a couple, it's not available for students to sign up until 2 weeks before coming to campus. And so I don't know if you know the logistics around that, or Gabriel, either one of you know that particular detail?
That is the first that I have heard about that. And so I will look into it. I will encourage families that have joined us today, if you are not already connected with the parent-family programs on campus, the network, if you go to wichita.edu/family, we send out a monthly newsletter. It goes out the first Friday of every month. And as we begin to bring your students onto campus and really help them through this process, we'll be sending out different tips and tricks and points of conversations and conversation starters within the newsletter. And so as soon as I have an answer for that, I'll make sure that we get that updated in the next parent newsletter that's sent out. Also, at any time, really the purpose for these parent table talks is to have genuine conversations with our families who aren't able to be with us on campus. Partnering together for your student success is critical. It's really essential in making sure that we help get your student from point A to point B. We have the same goal in mind, and that is graduating your student in a timely manner. You know your students better than anybody else. And so if at any time, if there are issues or challenges that your students experience, if you yourself have a question on how do I help guide my student through this process, or we don't know who to go to and talk to, engage with us. And really, this is something that we plan to continue throughout the academic year. And so if there's a topic that we haven't presented yet that you're interested in, shoot me an email and let us know, and we can get that added to the calendar. Some other questions that have come in before we run out of time. Going back here, sorry, Gabriel, there was one I wanted you to answer. It was regarding, what if there's a student organization? What if my student's interested in an organization that does not currently exist? What would they do?
Yeah, so they can reach out to my office. So they can contact student.orgs at wichita.edu. And from there, either myself or my grad assistant will be able to meet with the student. If there is a student, not a student organization that currently exists that your student is interested in, then we can just start that organization from scratch. Last year, we started about 32 new student organizations, and we already have about 4 that are in the queue to go up for approval this year. So it's a very simple process. The one thing that they just have to consider is what is that interest that they have? What is that student organization interest that they have? And do they have 4 other people that are interested in it as well? And then the process is super smooth after that. So it's a very simple process. They can just reach out to us and we can help them build that organization from scratch.
Excellent. I did see a couple questions that came through regarding transportation. And so the university has a partnership with the city that allows students to ride the Wichita transit system for free as long as they present their Shocker card. So if your student gets a job off campus, say they have an internship or a co-op off campus and they don't have a car available to them, they'd be able to utilize this free of service. They will have to navigate and figure out, how do I use a transit system? That's something that they would navigate, and we can help them get information for that as well. In regards to students returning home over break, they are responsible for their own transportation to and from the airport. And so really it's important of making sure that they find that tribe while they're here, so that they can ask their friends for a ride. If not, there's always Uber, Lyft, various other ways that they can catch a ride to the airport. And so those are some things. We also have a shuttle service on campus. And so if your student's not parking on campus and maybe they're going to park over at the Metroplex, we do have a shuttle service that will bus them from various locations off campus that will bring them onto campus. And again, there's another app for that. It's the Shocker Shuttle app. And the great thing about the Shocker Shuttle app is that it will let you know where the bus is at. And so you know how much time you have to get to the stop. And so if you're like me and I make multiple stops while walking from one place to another because I'm talking to everybody, it's nice to say, okay, I don't have time. I got to hurry up and get there because the bus is about to leave. And so make sure you encourage your students to look at that as well. Scott or Katie, does laundry take dollars or coins? How does laundry work on campus?
Okay, Scott, you want me to go? So you can use coins. You can use your credit card or debit card now. So you don't have to have cash on hand to make that happen. So yeah, there's options. It does not take dining dollars or Shocker dollars. I saw that question come through, but you can use coins. There's a coin changer machine in each of those laundry areas. And if you're lucky and you're at the suites or the flats, you have in-room laundry units. So you don't need to worry about that at all. There was a question as well about dining, where to use your dining dollars or Shocker dollars. So those can be used all over campus. The Radigan Student Center has a ton of retail options, from Starbucks to Chick-fil-A, Panda Express, Pizza Hut. So those are all options, but you can use those dining dollars in the Ground House, which is a coffee shop slash kind of fast dining. You can grab some grab and go items that is attached to Shocker Hall. So that's another option. They have some things in there too, like laundry detergent or dryer sheets. So those dollars can be used for more supplies that you might want to keep on hand. They also can be used in the dining hall. So if you'd rather, if you're bringing someone else along to eat with you, you can use those dining dollars to pay for that.
Great. Gabriel, do you want to touch a little bit on the Shocker support locker and how that really supports many of our students and items that individuals can utilize within that service and program?
Yeah. So through our Student Government Association, they started a a food pantry and basic needs pantry on campus. So a shocker support locker, it's a total of 5 different programs. It offers food for students who may need it, baby products for our students who are parents, as well as hygiene products, a hardship fund, so providing some dollars for emergency situations that may come up, as well as a clothing closet. So it's a really good program for our students who might just need that one thing to get them by, or is experiencing some hardships at the moment. It is completely student run, so it's a program housed in our Student Government Association. It's open in the summer right now, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 1 to 4. And then in the fall semester, it will be open every single day during the week from 10 to 6 p.m. During the day. So if your student or your student for some reason needs something, they can utilize that program as well. It's a really good benefit for our students who, again, maybe just experiencing that need or that shortfall, whether it be food or hygiene products or baby products, or just need that one thing to kind of help them get by. It's kind of an unfortunate reality for some of our students and some of our college students, but it's, I think, one of the most impactful services and programs that we have for our students on campus.
Great. All right. Lots of questions still kind of rolling in, wanting to make sure that we have time to hit them all. Anything else that you guys want to touch on as Kim and I go through these? Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate, I know we covered this a lot in our orientation parent sessions and our first parent table talk. Cannot stress to you enough to encourage your student to check their Shockers email account. That is where information is sent to your account. So we had one parent at the end of orientation commented, "So you're telling us that our students need to check their email?" And yes, I don't know how many times we said it that day, but we heard it earlier today. But any kind of change to a calendar or change to a fee or change in process that is going to affect students, we try to be really quick and clear in our messaging, an explanation of that. So your students should be checking their emails often and early. Starting now, they should get into that habit. I would also say that we all want, and this is something that we say at orientation as well, we don't want our students to miss out on anything. We don't want our students to miss something. And so oftentimes we insert ourselves as the parent in the process. And so want to encourage you to, again, have your students be the ones giving you access to this information and to the services that are available. So if you are trying to sign your student up for things like payment plans and that kind of thing, I'm not saying that you are, I'm just saying your students need to be the ones driving that process now. And so certainly you can be in the co-pilot passenger seat with them, making sure that you're getting access to what you need, but they need to be the ones that are giving that to you, right? So want to be just another kind of plug for that. There was a question about payment plans. And while that's the topic for a couple of weeks, we realize that some of you may not be able to join us in a couple of weeks. So when your student is in their student account suite for tuition and fees, they can be, setting all of that up, giving you access as the third party. I'm losing it's not proxy. What is it, Alicia? You know what I'm, authorized user. I knew authorized user. If you are making payments on your student's account, they will have to set you up as an authorized user. But the question was around the payment plan piece. And so know that there are options for paying tuition and fee bills. We know they're high. We try to keep them as low as possible. But we know that sometimes you need maybe a little bit of extra assistance breaking that up. Know that there is an option to break up that. You don't have to pay it all at once. So once your financial aid comes in and gets applied to your account, which happens much, much, much later this summer, very close to the beginning of school. When that comes in and kind of settles, know what your options are. You can go to wichita.edu/tuition and fees or tuition fees and see kind of the breakdown of what to expect. But I'm not sure exactly. We're kind of getting to the point where bills are about ready to be posted. I'm not sure if they've been posted, but considering this is the first week now, or really second week, I guess, into July, typically we begin to see those bills getting posted. And so we're getting to the point where you really want to begin to be looking at that and engaging in that payment process. And then that's why we have that topic for our next one. But Scott or Katie, can you guys talk about the payment options that are available for housing, if there are installment plans they can sign up for?
There are installment plans that you work directly with student accounts on. The exact details of them, I don't want to misspeak, so I definitely work directly with them, but I want to say it divides it up into, I think, 3 or 4 equal payments over the semester. Kim, you had mentioned that bills are going to start being posted soon. We are placing on soon the housing charges, so you'll be able to see those go into there, I want to say, as early as next week. So I don't know if either Katie or Alicia have specifics on the payment plans, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a 3 or 4
It
equal
is.
payments.
Yep. And typically, if you miss a payment, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm really behind. We don't want you to get too terribly behind, because if individuals get behind on their payments, it does put a financial hold on your student's account, which will prohibit them from registering for that next semester. And so at any time, if there's any kind of issues in, I'm not able to make my payment because there's financial changes in the house or something, making sure that they're coming in and talking with individuals within our accounts receivable office so that we can really try to help them get back on track. Another thing that I would really encourage you to do is stay up to date with all of their offices directly via social media. I think this is probably the best thing, social media, because as soon as information's out and available, I think that our campus does a phenomenal job of getting it out and sharing information readily available. And so student involvement, as well as housing and residence life, student affairs, student success, we all have social media handles. If you don't already like and follow us, please make sure you go and do so. We will send information out with all of our social media handles, so you can join us there. We also have a Shocker Family Network Facebook group. And so this is really just a place for families and parents to go and ask each other questions. What's working for your student? I love seeing in the conversations here that, Jennifer figured it out and Wanda was like, thanks, because this is, so there's already great conversations, and really just having those conversations parent to parent, because a lot of times someone else is already asking a question that you're wondering. And so it's nice just to be able to get that instant feedback from someone, either a current parent who's gone through the process or another one who is trying to navigate and figure it out with you. And so don't forget to join us there at the Shocker Family Network a Facebook group. We're kind of running out of time. We have 5 minutes left. And so I want to make sure that we go through. There was a question about the microwaves in the suites. Do students bring their own? Is it provided? Can you talk about that, Katie?
Yes, they do need to bring their own. There's a spot for their microwave to go. It's kind of a shelving unit that's sized for microwaves, but they do need to bring their own. And the fridge over there, it's like that quarter size fridge, so fairly full size. So that's, all in the suites. That's why it's a kitchenette. It doesn't have an oven or a stove, but it does have the fridge, the spot for the microwave, some counter space, and a sink. I wanted, while I had a minute real quick, forgot to mention that students normally would get their Shocker cards during orientation. Since they didn't come on campus for that, they won't have them for move-in. Some people won't. We're encouraging you, if you are local, to try to make it over to the Radigan Student Center. The Shocker Card Center is open. You're able to go get your card ahead of time. We've sent over lists of residents so they know who to give those cards to. But If you can't, and you can't make it before move-in, you can show up to your building on move-in without your shocker card, and we'll issue you a temp card. We've been sending out communication about that, but it has been a little bit of confusion surrounding that, so I just wanted to clarify. Do not fret if you're unable to make it. If you're coming on a Saturday when the shocker card center is closed and you can't get over there to get your card before coming to check in at the building, that's okay. We're going to work with you. Please bring some form of identification so we can double check who you are, but we'll work through that because that's a little different this year.
Great. And Gabriel?
I was just going to jump in too while we still have a couple minutes, and I'm just going to take 30 seconds. If you're sitting there saying, what do I need to make sure I'm doing in terms of housing right now? If you haven't already done it, please sign up for your arrival date and time. If you have not sent in your meningitis vaccination information, please do so. If you're not sure whether or not you have, we're going to send out reminders about that this week. And then for those of you wondering about quarantine and looking for information, you should see an email from us on Thursday or Friday. And if that will apply to you, it'll have information on how to sign up for those.
Thanks, Scott. All right, Gabriel, we have 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left. Real quick, your plug for SGA.
Yeah, so I was going through the comments. I saw there was a lot of questions about the student experience, student organizations, Greek life, student fees, tuitions, things like that. Our Student Government Association will be hosting our last summer town hall on July 23rd, which is a Thursday at 2 p.m. And those will be the topics of the things that we're going to talk about. What does the student experience look like with COVID-19? What are tuition and fees? How are they going to be utilized and how they're going to be used? So I encourage you to encourage your student to attend it, but also I would encourage you to attend it as well. We'll have some folks from housing, from student involvement, from a lot of our different programming areas on campus, as well as talking about the student activity fee and tuition and kind of what that will look like and how we'll kind of coexist with COVID-19 in the fall. So I encourage you to check that out.
Great. Thank you. Kim, any last words of wisdom before we shut it down here for the day?
I don't think so. I kind of inserted my little, speech about letting your student really be in the driver's seat and begin to take these steps toward their own advocacy and independence, because that's critical in setting them up for success. But we're here, and Alicia does a fantastic job in helping you along that way as the parent. What can you do? How can you support your student and kind of get out of that driver's seat for them? So that, and have your student check their email. That's all I would say.
Absolutely. And so if you have other questions at any time, if we didn't answer your question, I apologize. Feel free to email me, call me. Just know that we are here on standby to serve you and to help you navigate this process, and really look forward to getting to know you and your students over the next coming years. We will have another table talk with the same folks, different time on Thursday at 6, and so feel free to come back if you really want to. If not, join us the following week when we talk about parking, payments, and that will be a great session as well. And so thank you all for joining us, and welcome to the Shocker family. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.